More often than not, films are usually made historically accurate to their given times. One of the reasons as to why this is to have something to distract the general public from traumatic events occurring in their lives. For example, World War II. World War II started in 1939 and ended in 1945. During this time, many films were put out as a means to remind audiences of a happier time, and sometimes even to help them deal with the new world that was changing all around them. Three genres were especially popular during this era: screwball comedies, musicals, and film noir. A mix of humor, color, and cynicism helped people deal with newfound anxieties about the war and coming home after fighting in the war. Screwball comedies brought a sense of relief to people during this time. Comedic relief was important during such a depressing era in history. These specific comedies focused on the battle of the sexes. This genre usually depicts a couple going through misunderstandings, fighting, comedic scenes, and most importantly, ending up together in the end. For example, The Awful Truth, directed by Leo McCarey, was very popular when it was released in 1937. Although the date itself is prior to World War II starting, this specific film was frequently re-shown in theaters during the 40s as a means to help those dealing with intense stress from the war. And because it was released before the Second World War, rewatching the film brought not only nostalgia for the movie's plot itself, but of a time of peace before conflict started. Screwball comedies were very important. Rather than showing propaganda, moral ambiguity, and war itself, these comedic relief between two characters whose problems were minuscule to those living through the 40s helped people remember the simple things in life. Actors Cary Grant and Irene Dunne portrayed a couple who decided to impulsively go through a divorce because of several hilarious situational misunderstandings. As well as this, during World War II, while men were shipped off to war, women began to become a part of the workforce. Irene depicted a very independent woman, but the story itself ended in a traditional way. The gender roles were completely shifted during World War II. Watching this film during such an uncertain time allowed people to deal with the new world and reminded them that although times have changed, love can still conquer all. Oftentimes, people were separated by the war itself, whether it was too hard for them to do long distance, or a partner died, or even the fact that you had no idea what your significant other was going through. This film showed that regardless of having problems, a good relationship can still survive. Screwball comedies originated sometime in the 30s and remained popular up until the 1950s. Similar aspects of screwball comedies are still commonly seen in modern romantic comedies. The Awful Truth is still a popular screwball comedy to this day. Its fast-paced dialogue and hilarious instances are still renowned. As for musicals, they first became popular in the late 30s, and their golden age stopped around somewhere in the 50s, similar to screwball comedies. A popular musical that was released in 1944 by Vincent Minnelli was Meet Me in St. Louis. The film itself was set to be in the summer of 1903, showing a world before even the First World War started. This movie depicts a well-set family, a family whose only troubles are having to move away from St. Louis because their father received a great job offer in New York City. Although that problem was small compared to what people were going through during the 40s, it was also somewhat relatable. Losing a home, maybe due to the Great Depression, being uprooted as many soldiers were, and the anxiety of everything changing. Similar to The Awful Truth, the idea of traditional family roles was heavily portrayed in this movie. It brought the public a sense of reassurance of a lifestyle that they once had. Many people enjoyed this film during the Second World War because it reminded them of what life once was and what one day could still be again. As well as this, Meet Me in St. Louis was filmed with Technicolor. Technicolor first became popular during the late 1930s, but many movies opted out of it because of how expensive it was. The green grass and the beautiful costumes were important for audiences to see. Such vibrant colors made people feel happy and warm. Another important piece to this musical is the music itself. During one sequence, they sing "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," a song that has remained very popular on Christmas radio stations even up until right now. The original lyrics to this song were actually very somber because of the uncertainty of the future. Instead of using the original lyrics, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas, it may be your last. Next year we may all be living in the past," they changed it to
"Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight."
The reason they did this last-minute change was to allow the audience to feel a sense of hope, rather than like the world was ending. But some people did not feel reassured by these easygoing, comedic, vibrant colored films. Rather, some audiences wanted something real. Film noir erupted during the 40s and remained popular until the 50s. Screwball comedies and musicals were being made years before the idea of dark film. Film noir is considered more for its themes and aesthetic rather than being its genre itself. Those themes include but are not limited to crime, a femme fatale, cynicism, moral ambiguity, high contrast and dark shadows, isolation, not being able to trust anyone, and feeling out of place in your own home. George Cukor's film Gaslight, released in 1944, followed those themes to a T. But rather than having a femme fatale, the main character was actually the female. The word gaslight literally means to manipulate someone using psychological methods into questioning their own sanity or powers of reasoning. The term itself actually originated from this movie. Main actors Ingrid Bowman and Charles Boyer end up in a relationship together. Charles gaslights Ingrid into thinking that she is going insane, that she is not right in her mind. During wartime, there is a lot of propaganda as a means to get more soldiers to join the war. The feelings of mistrust and gaslight helped people feel seen during a time when they were wary of their own media and authoritative figures. This film also plays into the gender roles. In contrast to the awful truth, Ingrid is not allowed to be independent, whether or not she understands that her husband won't allow her to be. The emotions that Ingrid goes through in this film were very relatable to couples during this time. They were not sure who to trust anymore. Everything was completely different. What once was a home of tradition and safety was now a place where no one felt safe. Not only was it difficult for men to deal with the fact that their home life had completely changed, but women during this time were completely in charge of the house and had newfound independence in having to join the workforce. This movie helped them feel seen in the fact that although they were now allowed to work, they still faced control and patronization for men. Similar to Meet Me in St. Louis, Gaslight's main problems were not a war, but rather conflict inside of the home, and specifically in one's mind. All three of these films were made due to the history going on during the times that they were released and re-released. Although all are very different in color, lighting, and plot, they all share a few things in common, such as anxiety of the future, not feeling safe in your own home, desire for the good times like laughter and reassurance from relationships, and even domestic unease. Regardless of their differences, these films offer an emotional response to a world going through a devastating time. Whether audiences were seeking comedic relief, happy songs, or the needs to watch something more thrilling, they all reflected such drastic emotions and psychological needs to laugh, feel safe, or watch their anxieties up on the big screen. These three genres of film were made historically accurate to the times in which they were released. They were a crucial distraction for audiences going through something quite unimaginable.